Hi and welcome to Digital Rack Gear, where we bring you tips and reviews for digital rack gear for music production. Are you struggling for how to set up your rack gear? Perhaps you've outgrown your current storage or studio furniture, maybe you're downsizing. Whatever your circumstances, this episode hopes to present infrastructure options that could help you reinvent your studio environment. I've used a large range of different studio furniture pieces to hold my rack gear over the years, and they're a great way of organising and making most efficient use of your space. And because rack gear is a standard 19 inches wide, there's studio furniture and racking options available which are commercially pre-made and ready to go. However, these are not the only option. So sit back and let's check out Digital Rack Gear's guide to studio furniture. This guide works with many different types of gear, not the digital variety, so it can cater for rack-mounted effects, utility pieces like headphone preamps, rack-mounted synths and other gear, such as tape decks, amps and so on. So stay to the end, as we will most likely feature an option you've never considered before, and a reminder to subscribe to the channel as well. First option is server racks, the go big or go home approach. Now, my first out of the bedroom studio was a converted garage, and I decided to go big, and I wanted space to expand. And I wanted all my gear to be racked. So I picked up some server racks from a local recycling center. A couple of those racks didn't actually have rack ears, so I picked up some new rack ears and installed them in as well. Now these server racks worked great because they held every piece of rack gear I owned, plus tape decks and other stuff that shelves could hold, and I could mount into these server racks. The upside on server racks, of course, is that they are built for 19-inch rack gear. They're also built for ventilation, lots of air movement available. The downside, of course, is that they are quite large. They take up a lot of space. Height-wise, they're quite impressive, but depth-wise, they're quite possibly more than most digital rack gear for music production requires. So there is a space consideration to be given, but they really are fantastic for that big bulk storage solution. Number two is the fit for repurposed type of 19-inch gear. And this is AV equipment that's possibly been used in other industries. They're like server racks in that they're made to hold 19-inch rack gear, so you're likely to come across these ex-radio or TV station, ex-law enforcement or hospitals or commercial studios. You may come across some of this premium equipment as a result of knowing someone in different industries that typically use 19-inch rack gear. So if you're connected and a friend can hook you up with some gear that otherwise is hitting the dumpster, then count your lucky stars and respect that opportunity. So option number three are custom cabinets, including those that you cobble together yourself. Now there are custom, commercially made studio furniture options that could cost you, but they do lead to a quick setup and installation. I've never tried one of these because I've always steered my money into other things, like gear. But to get the custom cabinet vibe, but cheaper, you could utilize any cabinetry or wooden or metal boxes that can accommodate 19-inch rack gear. Now I've done this myself with steel enclosures with wooden inserts that I've then packed out to accommodate 19-inch, and I've bought rack ears to actually put in there. So pre-made rack ears into otherwise steel or wooden boxes. Now the key to this DIY approach is to finish it well and set it up so it matches or complements or even is a feature of your studio space. The time invested will be rewarded in the vibe that you have in your studio and of course the money you save. Option number four, and this is my favorite, is brown furniture for audio equipment. Now, don't underestimate the power of brown furniture, particularly whilst it's not popular. It may be like this Repro audio-visual unit, which I picked up from an older couple who were downsizing. It was built to hold component audio systems that were popular in the 70s through to the 90s. Look out for this kind of thing, as you could get extra storage as a bonus, such as drawers. I dig the classy vibe from this brown furniture, and frankly, this can easily be the cheapest way to go, particularly as it's used here for rack mount synths. The only issue is heat dissipation, and I use rubber spacers in between the gear just to give it that bit of breathing room. Well worth a look. Option number 5 is the homemade Dalek. Named after the classic Doctor Who villain, this build-it-yourself option is great for smaller setups on a budget. I built mine out of pine. They're strong and they do a great job. The advantages here are they're cheap as long as you can source pine sheets. They're easy to make, requiring just a circular saw, a drill bits and some screws, plus the most basic for carpentry skills, and they can be made to whatever size you want. You can finish them however you want, leave them raw pine or stain it or paint to match your other studio furniture and your space. Option number 6 is the road case, made for touring but used at home. This is a great option as they're readily available. Additional shock mounting does take up more space and they're not the most attractive. However, they are readily available and for a modest cost can get you up and running. If you can do one without shock mounting that takes up less space, that's always good as well. This is one that I have as an insert into what is referred to as a tea caddy, a shock mounted rack, top and bottom, with this insert taking up minimal space and really using the rack gear itself for its structural integrity. I hope you've enjoyed Digital Rack Gear's guide to studio furniture and our 6 options for racking your gear. Let us know your experience with any of these options in the comments below. I hope you've perhaps learned something new or planted a seed for how you might improve your setup. Smash that like button and we'll see you next week on Digital Rack Gear. Until then, keep tracking.